Hello and welcome to Lesson 3, Solving Word Problems with Decimals, including money. So today we're going to be doing word problems that involve us using decimals, which also means that we will probably be using money. So the first thing we want to do before we start this lesson is to review the 4 steps to solving word problems that we will be using. So step 1, if you remember, is you need to understand the problem. You need to read the problem. You need to make sure that all the information that is needed to solve the problem is given. Number 2, you want to plan a strategy or create a plan to solve the problem. Number 3, execute your plan. And then number 4, which is a very important step that a lot of people skip, but you definitely need to do it, is you need to check your work. If your work doesn't check out, then you need to start back over at step 1. Okay, since we've reviewed the 4 steps, let's move on to doing word problems with decimals. Before start, let's review how do you solve problems with decimals. When adding and subtracting decimals, make sure you line up your decimals before solving, which means you want to make sure that when you write down your numbers with the decimals, that all the decimals line up perfectly in a row. Okay. Since we have refreshed your memories about working with decimals, let's solve a problem together. Sarah and Tommy went to the candy store. Sarah bought jelly beans for $2.25 and licorice for $3.75. Tommy bought some candy bars for $5.75 and cotton candy for $1.60. How much did each person spend, and who spent more money? So this is asking us actually 2 things. So the first thing is we want to make sure that we understand the problem, figure out what they want us to solve for, and make sure that all the information is given. So we've read the problem. Do we understand the problem? What are they asking us to solve? Well, there's actually 2 things they are wanting us to solve. They're wanting to know how much money each person spent and who spent more money. So now that we know what we're needing to solve for, let's move to step 2, which is to make a plan to solve the problem. So we know we need to find out how much each person spent and then who spent more. So the plan is, we first need to add what Sarah bought to find her total, add what Tommy bought to find his total, then need to find out who spent more money. So who spent the greatest amount of money. So Sarah spent $2.25 and $3.75, and Tommy spent $5.75 and $1.60. Then we take the totals and determine which is greater. That is our plan that we need to solve. So let's move to step 3 to execute our plan. So we will write down Sarah's totals of $2.25 plus $3.75. Make sure that your decimals line up. If we add those 2 together, we get $6. Tommy spent $5.75 plus $1.60. Make sure your decimals line up, then that comes to $7.35. So Sarah spent $6 and Tommy spent $7.35. Who spent more? Tommy. Tommy spent $7.35, which is more than $6. Now we know the answers. Let's move to step 4 to check to make sure they are correct. To check your work for a problem you added, you will need to subtract to check your work. Is that correct? Yes, that is correct. So we will take the total amount that Sarah spent, which was $6, and subtract any of the other amounts, either the $2.25 or the $3.75. So I chose the $3.75, which comes out to be $2.25, which is the other amount that she spent for jelly beans. Tommy spent a total of $7.35, and we're going to subtract how much the cotton candy was, which was $1.60, which should leave us with how much the candy bars were, which was $5.75. So are your answers correct? Yes, they are. When you're writing your answers, if they ask you for a monetary value, like this asks you, how much did each person spend and who spent the most money. They're asking you for a monetary value. Make sure that your answers are written in the format that they are requesting it to be wrote as. Alright. If you wrote 2.25 without the dollar sign in front of it, or 6.00 without the dollar sign in front of it, then it would be incorrect because you just wrote 6.00. You're not specifying that it's actually a dollar amount. So now, please complete your independent worksheet, and thank you.